So the Electoral Commission this week again came under the spotlight for many reasons. One was the case involving the PPP. They've taken them to court this week. They want an injunction slapped on the EC collecting the filing fees of the presidential and parliamentary candidates. Well, the court shut down that particular move, but the substantive case of whether it's legal for the EC to be charging these filing fees is yet to be determined. The court, though, says they will give their reasons for shooting down the injunction application this Monday. But then also, we heard yesterday and the day before about gunshots and machete violence in northern region, capital Tamale, because of the voter transfer exercise there. It turned violent because people suspected that parties were busing in individuals to come and, register in a particular location, transferring the votes. That became a key issue. On the campaign trail, a lot happened this week also. The president was in the Bonahafo region. Nado has been touring the Greater Accra region. Asanyega has been launching his manifesto. Nana Redmond Rawlings launched his running mate. Outdoored his running mate today. The manifesto also is out. The CPP also outdoored their running mate, but with some controversy. There are people in the party who say they don't know this individual who was outdoored by the CPP, and that has raged on for a while. Interestingly, also, the General Secretary of the NDC this week was asked a question by myself about what place former President Rawlings will have in your campaign this year. And he says, well, if he was your father and he's that old, will you put him on a campaign trail to campaign at this age? And that we need to have some sympathy for him. At this age, he needs to simply stay in the background. People in the party disagree with that view because they believe Rawlings still has a powerful role to play in the campaign this year. We'll see if we can touch on some of these key issues before we wrap up. I want to start with you on the legal issue, though, with the Electoral Commission as far as this filing fee is concerned. The thing was shut down. The injunction application was shut down. The substantive matter is yet to be ruled on. I mean, this is the PPP fighting a lost battle on this one. The sign should be very clear on the wall now.
Well, let me just repeat what I have said publicly, even before the PPP went to court. In my view, no one, and with all due respect, no one in Parliament can add to the criteria or the requirement for a person to become, for example, a member of Parliament or a president. Article 94 sets out these requirements, eligibility requirement or qualification requirements. It doesn't include payment of money. So when you go to the EC, you for a member of Parliament, you are at least 21 years old. You have not committed the kind of offenses that disqualify you, or that if you have served your term. Then also you have not been declared bankrupt, and all that. You're of sound mind. When you have satisfied all that, then the last question the EC will ask you: do you have 10,000 Ghana cedis, maybe bank draft? Yeah. And you say no, then they will turn you down. It means that you have been disqualified from becoming a member of Parliament.
Although the Constitution says you are qualified.
The Constitution says you are qualified. So and then they will refer you to PNDC Law 284, Section 11, the Representation of People's Act. Yes, it says the Electoral Commission may make regulations to enable them manage elections and even fix amount to be paid. And then CI 94 also says that the Electoral Commission may determine the amount. And I'm saying that to the extent that that additional function given to the Electoral Commission is tending or is becoming a criteria, in fact, the overriding or predominant criteria or requirement to become a member of Parliament or a president. These two laws, which they are relying on, they are unconstitutional.
Okay. So they shouldn't be charging the amount they're charging?
Not even one city.
Let me quickly get the views of Atacha on this. What do you agree with that?
Well, legally, he's 100% right. You see, because at the end of the day, you cannot improve upon the Constitution. And that's what we should get very clear. Even if it's a subordinate law, it hasn't gotten effect insofar as it's inconsistent with the Constitution. I am of the humble view that this might be an administrative charge.
To process the document.
To process the documents and the rest of them. And I'm even told that if you are able to make some, gains politically, you have money refunded to you. But I had my personal view of the matter. For instance, my name is Atachia. I want to represent Achimabuakwa South. In order not to open the floodgates for all kinds of applications and because of these matters, people should vote me in and show confidence that, oh, Atachia is going to be the member of parliament. And we can raise for him 10,000. Because my brother, what are we talking about? If you just use the fact that everybody can be a member of parliament as the only parameter, it means that so long as you qualify, even if you can't start printing T-shirts or you can't do anything, just sitting in your house and your name will be on the ballot box, you have about, excuse me to say, a ballot, paper, which will be going to the high heavens. Because every law should have a common sense posture. Yeah. If not, it will be defeated. So I am of the view, it might be very, very funny that, well, you might think the money is too big, but it shouldn't disqualify somebody. At the same time, it's a vote of confidence. An MP who cannot raise 10,000 Ghana cedis, I'm afraid, cannot make the constituency tick. Period. And also, that is very significant.
I have other issues.
Oh, yeah, you might have a legal issue, but I'm talking about the practicality and dimension of it.
Because even that,
at the same token,
anybody who can get 10,000, then those who cannot get, they will go and borrow. He gets power, and then he becomes at the beck and call of this person.
That's why we are doing
both sides of that.
No, now that's why we have the political system working. For instance, my party, was strong enough to say that all the people who want to be fielded as PC will bankroll it. Do you know what that means? It means that...
So the party paid for you?
Yeah, the party paid for me.
Really?
Oh, yeah, sure. The party paid for me.
You didn't pay from your own pocket?
I didn't pay from my own pocket. It means what? Do you know what that means?
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. What that means is that there is a setup which is significant and strong to push an agenda for this.
In the opposition, you have the money like that.
But we are not poor people. We've never been poor. We are Honorable Kubako will bear me out. We have been very enterprising. The core people who started, the former democracies, the UGCC, go and check them out. We were even strong enough to pay for the, was it airfare or was it sailors fare? To bring the great Nkrumah here. So we've never been poor. We've been very enterprising. So you should bear that in mind. So we're able to, even in the opposition, we put together resources to do that. But I'm saying that if we are not careful, like for instance, this presidential candidate issue, boss, let me be very honest. We know that most of them, are just part of, excuse me to say, what is going on. I don't want to use very serious words, but if we're not careful, and we say, okay, let's look at the constitution. Who can be a president? I'm tempted to believe that those people who are even unemployed, and they've not even had...
Will pick up forms to contest.
They don't have even an understanding of how to even, work a small micro economy, let alone to begin to understand how to run a government. If you're not careful, you have about, on the ballot, you have about maybe 850 presidential candidates.
The amount is not determined.
Let me hear from you on this. What the NDC have heard say, well, they don't see anything wrong with the amount. In fact, the MPP too is agreeing. Some will say, they're too big party. You have money, so of course you can say that. What about the others who are qualified? They can lead, but the money becomes a deterrent.
Okay. I think that Honorable Atanchia just disagreed with, even though he said he's legally right, he disagreed with him.
He is brilliant on the law.
I think that what I can understand my brother, you are saying is a balancing act where we do not put a filter on the rights of people to aspire to public office, so that the amounts we are charging should not be a deterrent factor.
That's what constitutional filter.
No, but you see, I disagree on that score because you see, you and I understand that the Constitution is a broader framework. I'm saying that the Constitution is a broader framework. That's why out of the Constitution, we go to pass the Criminal Code, we pass the Criminal Act, and all other laws, because we want to make meaning out of the broader framework.
You don't agree that this thing will become another or an additional requirement, which if you don't meet and you meet those in the Constitution, you'll be disqualified?
Yeah, I believe that the Constitution envisaged that. That's why I say I disagree with you, because you see, even though there's a broader framework in the Constitution that says that you must meet these requirements in Article 94, there are other requirements that the existing law. For instance, if you look at Article 11, we talk about the existing law, which is PNDC 284 and the subsidiary legislation.
Inconsistent with the Constitution.
I'm saying I understand that it must not be inconsistent with the Constitution, but I'm saying that if you these are things you are a public spirited person, you can test the law whether or not this particular charge, administrative charges, for you to contest an election is an affront to the Constitution.
You know, it's similar to no verification, no vote, and where people have interpreted that to mean that if we insist on the verification, the VVB or whatever, you will be disenfranchising others and so other opportunities are given to other people, even the registration process. So that's why now, if you can't, you don't have a passport or other forms of acceptable identification, you can go with some other person.
Yeah.
But that's just exception.
Oh, I understand. If you look at the Interpretation Act, it says that you must not interpret the law as to defeat the rights of people. You don't introduce technicalities to defeat, sort of curtail the rights of people. But what I'm saying is that, you see, I believe, these are constitutional matters, I believe that the administrative charges are consistent with the Constitution, even though...
What is the purpose? The EC have already been given over 800 million, which they justify to be the amount. Of course, Parliament reduced it, but Parliament has fixed the amount for them, so they cannot levy. So number two, even that aspect, even though
you and I know that you cannot interpret the law that leads to
an
absurdity. So for instance,
but if the law is absurd, if the law is absurd, you apply it.
So you know what I'm saying is, you see, because you see, if we decide that we are not charging, we are not levying any fee for one to contest as MP or the president. You see, you know what it means?
What does it mean?
It means that all the students who have formed the unemployed students association will file up and say they are contesting.
But what is wrong with that?
So you believe if we take out the money and then you create an absurd situation.
It will create an absurd result because you see, everybody who then will contest. See, let me tell you something.
Are you saying the 17 people contesting, all of them have their money?
People are saying that, for instance, that our constitution having worked for some time, they think that we should approach it in a manner that even impose further fetters. For instance, imposing a minimum qualification in terms of educational wise. Because you see, education teaches you some level of logic and methodical thinking. Look at the number of people who are contesting the election in our country today and are offering themselves to contest for elections.
50,000.
You understand me? It's a problem. It's a problem. So we need other fetters. I would say that we need other fetters, but I disagree with you when he says that we shouldn't impose that fetter.
What do you make of this? I mean, this conversation had gone on. There, of course, a substantive matter will be heard next week, so we'll get to hear the reasoning behind it.
I have a feeling that is the quantum that has provoked or triggered this controversy. Otherwise, since 1992, we've been paying. My brother is not raising legal constitutional matters. I can appreciate that, and I would love to have that interrogated in a court of law so that maybe we'll come to a closure on that. But so far, we've acquiesced over the period from 1992 to today. Now, because of the quantum, leap, people are worried and making a lot of case out of it. I am one of those who thinks that was too much. The 50,000 and the 10,000.
Yes, I'm 100, but less than 1 million.
I'm clear.
Very soon we'll get there.
No, I'm clear in my mind that it was too much, and if it had been reduced, that would have been better, But some of this.
But Senior, it's not too much when you know the symbol of leadership. For instance, if people repose a lot of confidence in Mr. Kweku Baako and you want to raise money, you'll be shocked. I'm not praying that you have any bad situation, but if your finances are challenged, by your sheer scholarship and intellectual capacity, say, look, let's go to your aid. So you are not yourself. You have a crowd.
Well, this is an invitation. I'm telling you, I am financially challenged.
Can we give 2 Ghana cities to contribute to Nana Akufo-Addo to go as a flag bearer? It will be oversubscribed.
Yes.
So if you don't exude that confidence and attractiveness, it's also a problem. So this is it has a whole dimension.
It's one side. It's one side of the coin. There are also many people out there who have a lot to contribute but are not financially resourceful or cannot immediately mobilize within a time frame. So that's why you must be a bit moderate in terms of the quantum. I mean, that's my view. But those who are challenging legally, yes, it's okay to do that. And let's see. I'll find it very difficult to, assimilate a judgment that we say we shouldn't charge anything at all. Yeah. I'll find it very difficult. Yeah. Even though that's not the only barrier. Some of these parties and candidates making noise of late. I mean, too much. There are too many jokers out there, you know. Look, I'm telling you, even though it's good for comic relief, we want the stress to go off.
You have any names in
There are too many jokers out there. And look, I've looked into the crystal ball and I can see many of them not standing the test of scrutiny, critical scrutiny, even based on what they put out as basis for them to qualify to come on the ballot. It's a waste of time. We're going to have a long ballot for what? Why do we need that? With all these jokers. Yeah, democracy has room for jokers. I agree. But at the expense of, serious things. We need to bring some integrity to bear on the process. I stop this thing about people running around, launching manifestos, standing on platforms, talking plenty, no substance. And we are all here because we want to be entertained. We are allowing them.
There's another aspect of the elections this week that came up that was interesting. The campaigns have been in full tilt. And I want to start with you on this. The question came up about why haven't you seen former President Rawlings on the campaign trail? I mean, actively, aggressively helping John Mahama. And then the General Secretary says, in essence, that he's too old to
and that's classic Asidun Ketia. This is Pasiebinti logic.
I mean, his immediate retort was, if your father was that old, would you put him on a campaign trail too? And then we'd have some sympathy to put him in the background.
Have they consulted Mr. Rawlings? Wow. Or do they have any other information to the effect that because of his age, he's incapable of going on a campaign trail? Is he no longer the founder? Or he's shown a personal disinterest in joining? But if you put out there that, look, it's because of his age, I think it's a bit uncharitable. It's unfair. It's Kwasiabinti logic.
But we do want to infer that that is a vote of no confidence in this present arrangement. I want him to help him with my thinking.
By Mr. Rawlings?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Rawlings himself, let me be honest with you, there's a little bit of lack of coherence and cohesion in his political stance. I'm not sure, maybe because of the wife being part of this whole campaign trail.
And the daughter too is a candidate.
So there's something very uncharacteristic of the Rawlings that we have known relative to his political things. He may be going through a certain interesting, intriguing transition relative to his own party, But whether the wife would also make the mark or not is another matter.
You think even if he had decided to be front and center on the campaign, would have made a difference?
Well, I'm not sure about that. But if he's the founder, deemed, was he not at the
campaign, the manifesto launch?
Yes. So why was he there? Why did they invite him to the manifesto? It's part of the campaign. Yeah. Wasn't he?
They want him now up in Information to get a play. But advisory.
There was a time they divide. I remember, was it 2008? They had a three-pronged campaign strategy. Mr. Rawlings was somewhere else, Professor Mills another place, and then running mate Mahama.
This time they give him no role.
Yes, because of old age.
Yes,
but according to the General Secretary.
Logic.
But one serious dimension to this, which I find very interesting, is that we know the whole understanding of the policies of NDC, that if you separate Rawlings from NDC, there will be no NDC. I say that he gave birth to NDC. Now, there is a very unusual statement he made, and as at now, I'm trying to come to terms with it. He said, when it comes to issues of integrity and money, Nana Akufo-Addo cannot be dented. And that statement is very huge. And he said the NDC should be careful because that dimension is serious. So I was saying to myself that I'm expecting him to come out clearly and endorse us. Endorse Akufo-Addo. Because if you should ever say that I gave birth to you, but when it comes to the issue of integrity and finances, this other man stands tall, then I think it is a very huge statement.
But I know this year, he publicly said when Akufo-Addo was accused of corruption or something, he said he can vouch for him, his integrity. And he even referred us to another individual who can tell us how, incorruptible Akufo-Addo is. And
well,
so that's as close to an endorsement as he gets.
Well, man,
but let me ask the NDC man before we wrap up. I mean, do you wish to see him play a bit more, central role in your campaign?
I mean, before I answer that question, it means my brother here now accepts the judgment of His Excellency President Rawlings, and I'm happy about that.
What judgment again?
You're saying that he said Nana is incorruptible, he cannot be corrupted and all that. That's a judgment.
Yes.
He has about Nana Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
But in the past, this is the same man you vilified and called for all sorts of them when he was in power. You said he was unfit even to be the president of this.
Okay, that's
so
in the past. Answer my question.
No, because it tells you that politics. You see, that's why sometimes I run away from politics. Because you see, you know what it does? It creates some level of doubt in the minds of the people about politicians.
Okay, do you want to see him front and center in your campaign? Briefly,
you see, we have two ex-presidents, surviving ex-president now, President Kufuor and President Rawlings. NPP is running campaign. I've not seen President Kufuor on the campaign
this week they announced he was at the council meeting that approved the manifesto, and they announced that in fact they've given him a role to meet all the candidates who had gone independent, who are aggrieved individually, personally, and try and convince them to abandon that agenda. Yeah,
that's a rule.
That's a rule. I mean, but
you just said a while ago that President Rawlings was in Cape Coast
when they
were doing the manifesto, when they launched
the manifesto. I think.
Yes.
No. When they launched their
official campain.
Official campaign launch.
Yeah.
But that was, you saw how enthusiastic the crowd was when he was there.
No, but he sort of watered down the effect by saying that I've been spoken to by the First Lady, and therefore I'll moderate what I'll say. That was a huge statement.
After the election.
No, that was a huge statement.
You see, but President Rawlings made something which I think a lot of people are not losing sight of. He said something that post 2016 elections, he would talk to NDC about this. He had said that NDC was going to win the election, but he was not going to do anything. Wait. He was not going to say anything that will imperil the elections for them. But he was going to do so after 2016 election, after the party had won the election.
Okay,
that's the logic.
Mr. tomorrow, briefly, tomorrow you're launching your manifesto.
Sure.
What should we expect?
Well, I think the
is that a copy?
No, that's not a copy.
That's not a copy.
That's manifesto.
No, this is a brief I'm trying to enjoy.
Does he have a manifesto?
Yes,
he launched it this week.
You see, there is
in fact, he bought proper airtime and broadcast.
He's running the race. He'll be running the presidential race.
Yes.
I see. Really?
Oh.
Tomorrow's manifesto.
Do I hear you say he's one of the ones you described earlier?
I did see that.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, you see the gloom and the abysmal performance of the NDC and how we are experiencing a lot of poverty. There must be an alternative. And what is at the heart of all that we are talking about is that how would you want to give a young man the hope that there's a job for you after he's completed school? So there is a change, and the change has its heartbeat, an agenda for jobs. So tomorrow, whatever we are trying to do will come back to a point. You should live in a Ghana with Akufo-Addo as the president, and we begin to work hard to transform this economy and let people have some significance. There's nothing as so terrible that people will live and they do not have anything to do, because there's a pseudo-economic growth that are being touted about. We are expanding infrastructure, but people are getting poorer. So the myth about they having an upper hand on infrastructure and how the economy is, we are going to just expose it tomorrow. For people to have hope that Akufo-Addo ran the economy.
Finally, a few seconds.
Well, on the issue of Mr. Ron, I think that people should not be too excited when he says something in your favor, because I mean that man can, at the end of the day, say another thing that may really destroy your expectations. So I think sometimes when he says something that you think favors you, you should Maybe even
Hold your horses until
look the other side.
the next one will come.
You can never tell.
Yeah.
So with that, well, I think
Mr. Bond, thank you very much.
I concur.
There's a message here from Nana Santibide to Director Aju. He says, Mr. Fio's legal arguments about Article 94 are poor. The Constitution sets out the criteria for qualification. We are not entitled to add more. What will he say if, in addition to being a Ghanaian 18 and above of a sound mind, subsidiary legislation also added a requirement that you should have paid taxes in order to register to vote? Now, should he make the argument he's making, he's wrong. Your opponent is clearly right. Nana Santibide to sentence that one.
Atatia upholds my position.
Yeah.
He has not directed
on that note, I want to say thank you
not
for
directing his energy
joining
at
us
you.
and staying with us for the past 3 hours on Newsfile. I've had on the show Abdul Malik Okubaku, editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. Your opponent is a legal practitioner and lecturer at the Central University College, and Samata Chan, lawyer and MP of the Achimabaka South and Kabana. A private legal practitioner, a member of the NDC. Join us again next week. Hopefully, Sam Slada Yinini will be with you here on Newsfile. My name is Evan Spencer. Enjoy the rest of the weekend.